Namaste. So I'm going to read Book 1, Chapter 18 on Janaka's giving instructions on truth to Sukadeva. Om Bhagavatam Maha Surya Koti Samabhrama Nira Viganam Guru Om Ekaram Nanti Vishnu Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Saksha Tasma Hari Om Ya Devi Sarvam Nirishu Vidyarabhinna Sanshra Namaste Sutta said, Maharishis, when the king Janaka heard of the arrival of Sukadeva, the son of his guru, he took his priest before him and attended by his ministers came before him in pure spirit. Then he duly worshipped Suka, offering him padya, arghya, and an excellent seat, and a cow yielding milk, and then inquired about his welfare. Sukadeva accepted duly all the things offered by the king and informed him of his well-being, asked the king in return of his welfare, and took his seat at ease on the asana. The king Janaka asks the son of Vyasa, full of peace, O Mahabhaga, Muni Satama, you are devoid of any attachment and you have no desires. May I inquire why such a person as your honored self has come to me? Sukadeva said, O great king, my father told me thus, O child, take a wife, for the householder's life is the best of all the ashramas, but I thought that will be the source of my bondage to this world, and therefore did not obey his word. Though he was my highest guru, he then again said to me, if one takes a household life, it does not at once follow that he will be held in bondage. Yet I did not agree to that. Then the Muni, thinking me still to be in some doubt, spoke this word of advice to me. O son, do not be sorry. Go to Mithila and have your doubts solved. There, my disciple, the king Janaka, is governing his kingdom without any source of danger. He is Jivan Mukta, liberated while living, and is free from the ideas of body, etc. So everybody knows the royal sage Janaka, though governing his kingdom, is not seen tied up by Maya. Then, O son, why are you afraid of this samsara when you are living this forest life? Therefore, O Mahabhaga, trust me and marry. And in case you doubt very much, then go and see the king Janaka. Ask him and remove your doubts. He will certainly solve your doubts, but, O son, after hearing him, come again quickly to me. O king, when my father spoke thus, by his permission, I have now come to your capital. O king, I don't want anything save moksha, liberation. Therefore, sinless one, kindly advise what am I to do so that I attain moksha? O Lord of Kings, practicing asceticism, going to the holy places of pilgrimage, holding vrats, vows, performing sacrifices, studying the Vedas, or earning wisdom, whatever is the cause of moksha, kindly say that. Hearing this, Janaka said, O son of my guru, I am telling what ought to be done by the brahmanas, following the path of moksha. Listen, after having the holy thread, a brahmin should live in the house of his guru to study the Vedas, the Vedantas, and pay the dakshina, the fee, to the guru according to rules. He will then return home and marry and enter into the householder's life. He should lead a life of contentment, be free from desires, sinless and truthful, and earn his livelihood with a pure heart and according to the sanction of justice and conscience. He is to perform the Agnihotra and other sacrifices, and after getting sons and grandsons, he is to leave his wife under the care of his son, and then to take the life of a Vanaprastha, third stage of life. That Brahmin, the know of Dharma, must practice tapasya and become master of his 6 passions, enemies. And when he gets disgusted with the world, and when the Vairagyam, this passion, will arise within him, he would enter into the 4th asrama. For the man is first to enter into the householder's life, and when he will be quite dispassionate towards the world. He will then have a right to take the ashrama of sannyasa, renunciation. A course contrary to this can never entitle one to the ashrama of sannyasa. This is the beautiful word of the Vedas, and it must hold true. It cannot be false. This is my firm belief. O Sukha and the Vedas are mentioned 48 samskaras, consecrations, purificatory rites, out of which the learned Mahatmas have reserved 40 samskaras for the householders and the last 8 samskaras, sama, dhamma, etc., for the sannyasins. And this good usage is heard to come down from very ancient times. A brahmana ought to complete his previous ashramas successively and then enter into the succeeding ashrama. Sukha said, if the pure vairagyam, dispassion arising out of knowledge and wisdom, gyan and vigyan already arises before taking to the grihast ashram, it is still necessary to pass through householder's life, vanaprastha life, etc. Or is one entitled then to take up at once the sannyasa ashrama, quit everything and reside in the forest? Janaka said, O one giving honor, the sastras and gurus, though very powerful, passions seem to be under control in the period of unripened yoga, the imperfect yogic state. Yet one ought not to trust them, for it is generally seen many imperfect yogins find themselves disturbed by one or the other of the senses. If the mind of one who has already entered into the sannyasa ashram gets perturbed in his course, then how can he? You can see this for yourself. Satisfy desires of eating good things, sleeping nicely, seeing his son, or wishing any other desires, knowing them to lead to his degradation. He is then in a very serious state. The net of desires is very difficult to be conquered by men that can never die out. Therefore, to put an end to them, the advice is to cut them slowly and slowly. He who sleeps on an elevated place has the danger of tumbling down, but one who sleeps in a low place has no such danger. So any man who has once taken the highest dharma, sannyasa, and if he be fallen, then he never gets hold of the real track. As an ant begins to get from the root of tree, and by gets to the topmost part of the branches, so human beings go by degrees from one ashrama to another, till they go to the highest. Then and then only they are able to get easily their desired truth. The birds, without anticipating any danger, get up to the skies very quickly, and soon they get tired and cannot go to their desired place, but the ant goes with the rest to its desired place. This mind is very difficult to be controlled. For this reason, the men of unripened minds cannot conquer it all at once, and are advised to conquer it by and by, observing the laws of one asrama after another. See also if anybody remaining in his household life be of a quiet temper and of good intellect, and if he takes success and failure in the same light, be not elated in times of pleasure and not depressed in times of pains, and does his duty for duty's sake without troubling his mind with cares and anxieties, then that householder acquires pure happiness by the realization of his self and acquires moksha. There is no matter of this doubt in this. O sinless one, see, I am liberated while living, though I am engaged in preserving kingdom. If any source of pain and pleasures arises, I am not in any way affected by them, as I will attain in the end vidiha, mukti, liberation from bodies. Though I am always wandering at my free will, enjoying various things, as I like to do various things as it pleases me, so you can do your duties and then be liberated in the end. O son of my Guru, when this material world, the cause of all error according to the Vedanta Sastras, is simply an object of sight, then how can this material substance, an object of sight, be the source of bondage to the Atman, the self, or Brahman? Though the 5 material elements can be seen, their qualities or gunas can be known only by inference. So the self is to be inferred. It can never be an object of sight, and also the self known by inference, changeless and without any impurity or stain, can never be bound by the visible changeful material things. O Brahman, this impure heart is the source of all pleasure and pains, so when the heart becomes pure and quiet, all the things then become fully pure. O Brahmana, if going often and often to the tirthas and bathing there do not make one's heart pure and holy, then all one's troubles are taken in vain. O destroyer of enemies, it is the mind that is the cause of bondage or freedom, and not the body, nor the jivatma, the embodied soul, nor the senses. The self or Atman is always pure consciousness and is ever free, so truly speaking, it can never be bound. Bondage and freedom reside in the mind. So when the mind gets peace, the bondage of samsara is also at an end. He is an enemy, he is a friend, he is neither an enemy nor friend. All these different thoughts reside in the mind and arise out of duality. How can the ideas of differences exist when everything has become all one pervading self? Jiva is Brahma. I am that Brahma, nothing else. There is nothing to be discussed here. It is owing to the dualities that monoism appears not clear and differences between Jiva and Brahma arise. O Mahabhaga, the difference is due to avidya, and by which this difference vanishes, that is termed vidya. This difference between vidya and avidya ought to be always kept in view by those that are clever. How can the pleasure from the cooling effect of the shadow be felt if the heating effect of the rays of the sun be not previously experienced? So how vidya is to be experienced is avidya be not felt before. Sattva, Rajas and Tamagunas reside naturally in things made of gunas, and the 5 principal elements reside naturally in substances made up of elements, so the senses reside naturally in their own forms, etc. So how can there be any stain to the Atman which is unattached? Yet to teach humanity, the high-souled persons preserve always with greatest care the respect of the Vedas. If they do not do this, then, O sinless one, the ignorant persons would act lawlessly according to their wishes, like the Charvakas, and dharma will become extinct. When dharma will become extinct, the varnasrama will gradually die out. So the well-wishers should always follow the path of the Vedas. Sukha said, I have now heard all that you have said. Still, my doubt remains in this not solved. O king, in the dharma of the Vedas, there is himsa, act of killing and injuring, and we hear that there is much of adharma, sin in the above himsa. So how can the dharma of the Vedas give moksha? O king, one can see before one's eyes that the drinking of somarasa, the killing of animals, the eating of fish and flesh are so are advised in the Vedas. So much that in the sacrificial ceremony named Satramana, the rule of drinking wine and many other vratas are clearly mentioned. Even gambling is advised in the Vedas. So how can mukti be obtained by following the Veda Dharma? It is heard that in ancient times there was a great king named Sasavindu, very religious, truthful, and performing sacrifices, very liberal. He protected the virtuous and chastised those that were wicked and going astray. He performed many yajnas, where many cows and sheep were sacrificed according to the rules of the Vedas, and abundant dakshinas, sacrificial fees, were presented to everyone that performed their part in the sacrifices. In these sacrifices, the hides of the cows that were sacrificed as victims were heaped to such an enormous extent that they looked like a second Vindhyachal mountain. Then the rains fell, and the dirty water coming out of that enormous heap of skins flowed down and gave rise to a river, which was thence called the Charmandvati river. And what a wonder! That cruel king left behind him an insatiable fame and went to heavens. Whether it may be, it can never come to my head that I should perform the Veda Dharma, filled with so many acts of killing and cruelties. Again, when the men find pleasure in sexual intercourses, and when they do not have that intercourse, they experience pain. How can you expect such persons to attain liberation? Janaka said, the killing of animals is a sacrificial ceremony. It is not killing, it is known as ahimsa, for that himsa is not from any selfish attachment. Therefore, when there is no such sacrifice, and the animals are killed out of selfish attachment, then that is real himsa. There is no other opinion in this. Smoke arises from a fire when fuels are placed in it, and smoke is not seen when no fuel is added. So, O Munisatama, the himsa, as prescribed in the Vedas, is free from all blemishes, selfish attachment, etc., and therefore it is unblameable. So it follows the himsa committed by persons attached to objects, and the real himsa that can be blamed, but the himsa of those persons who have no desires is not that sort of himsa. Therefore, the learned men that know the Vedas declare that the himsa done by the dispassionate persons with their hearts free from egoism is no himsa done at all. O Dvija, really speaking, the killing of animals done by the householder attached to senses out of their objects are done under their impulses can be taken into account as a real act of killing. But O Mahabhaga, of those whose hearts are not attached to anything, of those self-controlled persons desirous of moksha, if they do an act of himsa out of a sense of beauty, with no duties of fruits, and with their hearts free from egoism, can never be reckoned as a real act of killing. Thus ends the 18th chapter of the first skanda on Janaka's giving instructions to the truth to Sukha Deva in the Mahapuranam, Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. Jayanti Mangalakali, Bhadrakali Kapali, Durga Kashmashi, Swaha Swara Namaste, Tu Mata Chapitatu, Shujasakatu, Vidya Devi.